And on behalf of faculty, staff, and students, thank you very much. Thank the Board of Us, Ministry of Education, Government of India, Government of Tamil Nadu, CSR partners, alumni, industry partners, and funding agencies for their support. We are here because of you. Jai Hind.
For the last 11 years, I've spoken from that side, so I got confused. Sorry about that. Thank you, Professor Kamakoti, for that status update on IIT Madras. What an exciting year IIT Madras has had in the previous year. A chief guest, Sri Ajit Doval, distinguished faculty, proud parents, and dear graduating students. Good morning to you all. It is my honor and privilege to address you at this momentous occasion of the 62nd Convocation ceremony of IIT Madras. On behalf of the Board of Governors, I warmly welcome Sri Ajit Doval, the National Security Advisor of India. The applaud that you gave when his name was taken by the director shows that he needs no introduction. I've had privilege, not as long as Professor Kamakoti, but for last 3 years of working with him in my current capacity as chairman in his space. What I can say, he is an unassuming person, but always on top of any issue that we are discussing. Just coincidentally, when I was coming in here last night in the flight, I saw a small article on him, a very interesting article, that described him as a person who is very analytical, very pragmatic, not emotional, but sensitive, a hardcore Indian by heart, mind, and soul. I couldn't agree more. We are deeply honored to have you here today, sir. And I'm sure it will be a treat for all of us to listen to you. It is an honor for us to have Dr. Padma Subramaniam. As the director mentions, he is one of the very few persons to have received 3 Padma Awards. Highly acclaimed dancer, research scholar, choreographer, teacher, singer, music composer, author, and Indiologist. So we are in for a double treat today. As the director said that this is my 12th convocation. I don't think anybody has been on this, this forum more than I have been, longer than I have been. Usually I give a longest speech, but today, since we have a double treat coming to us, I'll keep my speech very short. First, I want to congratulate the director, faculty, staff, and the students of IIT Madras for continuing to be on top of the NIRF ranking, 9th year in a row, and for breaking the 200 mark in the QS ranking on our way to the target of breaking the 100 mark. And I want to congratulate you, the graduating class of 2025. Today marks the culmination of years of hard work, perseverance, and growth. I share in your joy and pride, as sometimes, long time ago, 50 years ago, I was where you are, though from a different IIT, on the brink of a journey filled with uncertainty, but promise. I feel both nostalgic and excited. Today, I want to speak to you as a fellow engineer, one who has walked a long road, sometimes confidently, sometimes unsure, but all. I'd like to share a few life lessons that have stayed with me. These may not be in any textbooks, but they are been powerful signposts in my own journey. First, I believe you must follow your heart. Let me begin with a story, one that shaped the trajectory of my life. In the early 90s, I, along with my family, were well settled in the USA, working in the auto industry. Life was comfortable. We left behind certainty, comfort, and a familiar system to return to an India where building a global product from scratch was still a dream. No spreadsheet would have justified the decision. No logic would have said that's the right decision. But a heart said, yes, let's do it. So we did. And that move of heart put me at the center of the Scorpio development that changed the automotive engineering in India, only because I listened to my heart. So my friends, we engineers are trained to think logically, to run models, assess risks, optimize solutions, but not every decision in life can be justified with logic. If there is one thing I have learned, it's that when your heart says something, don't ignore it, because often, not always, but often, your heart sees something that your head does not. Lesson number 2, you're never too old to start learning. Let me fast forward to 2022, when I was offered the current role as chairman of InSpace. I had spent decades in automotive industry, but when the opportunity came to help shape India's private space ecosystem, I said yes. Not because I was ready for it, not because I was confident that I can do it, but because I believed in what impact it could have. At the age of 67, I was back in learning mode, studying orbital mechanics, reviewing launch architecture, engaging with young founders, younger than my kids, and in them, just like in you, I see what India was becoming: bold, brilliant, and hungry to lead. And you know what? I loved it. I rediscovered the joy of learning, of not knowing and slowly figuring it out. These 3.5 years have been amongst the most enjoyable and fulfilling part of my 45-year career. So never stop learning. We often think of education as something that happens in our 20s. But in truth, the most interesting lives are those where you stay a student always. So if there's one thing I'd urge you never to outgrow, is your curiosity. Stay teachable, stay interested. That's how you stay relevant and, more importantly, fulfilled. The third lesson I offered you today is that path of excellence is rarely easy, but always worth it. If you ever find yourself doubting your place, remember, we all start somewhere. What matters is whether you keep going. Today, I see in you the same spark, the capacity to adopt, the resilience to overcome, and the brilliance to create. And that brings me to the larger story, the story of India in 2047, as Professor Kamakoti talked about. Our Honorable Prime Minister has outlined a bold vision, that of a Viksit Bharat, a fully developed India by the time we celebrate 100 years of independence, a $32 trillion economy, a nation where opportunity is equitable, innovation is native, and growth is sustainable. A nation that leads the world not just in size, but in substance. But let's be clear, Viksit Bharat is not just going to happen by itself. It will require tremendous effort from all Indians. It is not a prime minister's dream. It's a generational responsibility, and it belongs to you, the class of 2025. You will be at the peak of your careers in 2047. It is you who will build the infrastructure, design the technologies, write the policies, and lead the institutions that shape the India of the future. You are not just graduating today. You are the architects, builders, visionaries, and dreamers. And this nation is the canvas awaiting your imagination. Whether you choose to become a researcher, an entrepreneur, corporate leader, public service, or academia, ask yourself, how can I help more? How can I help move India forward? Not just in GDP, but in dignity, access, equity, and excellence. I will close with a thought. You have been given an extraordinary education at IIT Madras, one of the finest institutions in the world. But what you do with it will define your legacy. So God bless. Jai Hind.
Good morning, everyone. It is indeed a great privilege to have amongst us Dr. Padma Subramaniam as the guest of honor for the 62nd Convocation of IIT Madras. She needs no introduction, especially in the world of Indian arts and culture, yet it is my proud duty to present to this young graduating batch one of the India's most revered cultural icons, Dr. Padma Subramaniam. A legendary Bharatanatyam exponent and scholar, she has dedicated her life to preserving and promoting India's rich artistic and spiritual heritage, and her legacy will continue to inspire generations. Dr. Padma Subramaniam is an internationally acclaimed Bharatanatyam dancer, choreographer, composer, researcher, teacher, and author. Much like the multidisciplinary spirit of IIT Madras, she seamlessly blends art, scholarship, and innovation. As a revered Indic scholar, her work bridges ancient tradition with modern interpretation, a pursuit of depth and excellence that resonates deeply with our faculty, students, and researchers. At present, she serves as the president of Nityodaya, a cultural institution founded by her father in 1942. She is also the founder and managing trustee of the Bharat Ilango Foundation of Asian Culture and a trustee of the Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, New Delhi. Dr. Padma Subramaniam is a true innovator in Indian classical dance. Through her pioneering research, she revived the ancient Marga tradition and created Bharata Nrityam, an original dance from that seamlessly blends tradition and innovation. Reflecting the same creative spirit we endeavor to nurture in young students at IIT Madras. Her unwavering devotion to Bharatiya Samskriti, inspired by the blessings of Kanchi Paramacharya, His Holiness Sri Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Swamigal, has shaped our life's mission. Much like the scholar innovatives of IIT Madras, her multifarious pursuits, from authoring books to researching Agama sculptures to creating over 150 dance productions, reflects a temperament of deep inquiry and cultural insights. Her contribution have made Indian heritage accessible to all. Among her countless honors, she is the proud recipient of Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, and Padma Vibhushan, the Academy Ratna, to mention a few, and the only Indian performing artist to be conferred with the Fukuoka Asian Cultural Prize of Japan and to be recognized as Fellow of the Asiatic Society of Mumbai for her academic contributions. I also take this opportunity to share with you all that our guest of honor wrote a letter in 2021 to our Honorable Prime Minister of India, Sri Narendra Modi ji, highlighting the historic role of Sengol during India's independence, which eventually led to its installation in the new parliament. It's a proud moment for India and especially for Tamil Nadu. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Padma Subramaniam is not just a dancer, she's a scholar, cultural ambassador, a teacher, and a tireless preserver and innovator of India's artistic heritage. Please join me in welcoming this legendary figure, Dr. Padma Subramaniam, to the 62nd Convocation of IIT Madras. Thank you.
Om Sadgurubhyo Namaha. My salutations to this temple of learning, IIT Madras. I feel honored to have been invited by Dr. Kamakoti, your esteemed and dynamic director, to deliver this year's convocation address. I'm so happy to share the stage with no less a person than Ajit Doval, who is the guardian angel of our country I congratulate him for the success of Operation Sindoor. Let me also congratulate your director, your registrar, all your faculty members, and my dear students for all that you have achieved through this great organization. I'm told that I am the second lady to have been given this task of giving the convocation address, the last person having been former Prime Minister, Srimati Indira Gandhi. I think the women here will. I also deem it as a recognition for art that science and technology confers. This is perhaps a turning point for experiencing an amalgamation cognition which traditionally Bharatiya Kalachara has stood for. My convocation address is on a panoramic view of Bharatiya culture. This is perhaps, as I said, a turning point to understand Bharatiya culture from a holistic point of view. IITM has been giving importance for performing arts through your festivals. Now a new door has been opened to admit students in recognition of their merits in fine arts, and thank you for the same. I hope enough numbers will be reserved for women candidates. I hope there will be a day when IIT opens regular courses in humanities and performing arts in particular. Culture of a nation depends so much on the very aesthetics of living, leading to the well-being of the society. India is perhaps the only nation that can boast of a perennial flow of culture. It is here that centuries coexist. Understanding these cultural values will enable the swelling of our common self-esteem. Swami Vivekananda played a significant role in reviving yoga, both as a physical and a spiritual discipline. Thanks to our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, for making yoga global and thus helping refinement in humanity. Swami Vivekananda believed that India had a rich cultural heritage encompassing literature, art, music, and philosophy, which needs to be revitalized. It is a matter of pride that UNESCO has recently recognized two of our ancient texts and included them in the World Memory Register. They are Bhagavad Gita and Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra. Bhagavad Gita synthesizes the knowledge of life here and thereafter. The historic victory of Operation Sindoor is a manifestation of adherence to valor that Bhagavad Gita preaches. As a proud Indian, I have always offered my salutations to our Jawans, who are our national guardian angels. Way back in 1960s Ministry of Defense, the terrain there, most of you will know, is very high altitude with 40% less oxygen. And this compelled me and my group to take puffs of oxygen provided by the army doctor after every 5 minutes of dancing. I have no words to praise our brave hearts. for their fighting for our nation in such a challenging environment, thanks to our cultural morale that Bhagavad Gita offers. The Natashastra picturizes the life of three worlds transcending time and space. It brings to our eyes that is, living and non living objects. Both these works are easily the oldest extant literature in the world to scientifically explain the most abstract concepts. Still, it must be remembered that our Vedic literature stands the test of time, being the primary source for even these two texts. It must be said that the God particle that is being searched by the atomic quizzes is already revealed in the Vedic literature and even Tamil literature relating to Shaiva Siddhanta. Women folk that it was Gargi, wife of Yagyavalkya, who was the first ever jury in the debate on the highly metaphysical subject held by the Vedic rishis. This shows the woman power that Bharatiya Kalachara had offered in society since time immemorial. The Vedic literature is the primary source for the common culture of Bharatvarsha. 18 subjects branch out of Vedic studies. These include art, science, medicine, warfare, astronomy, and allied astrology as well. Our astronomers knew that the 28th star, Abhijit, exists, though it cannot be viewed from Earth. The basis of Vedic culture had percolated into every nook and corner of our subcontinent. It is a marvel that our Panchanga Josiers, astrologers, prepare the almanac for the year with absolutely no apparatus whatsoever, and their prediction of eclipse tallies with those of the modern scientists. For example, the fishermen of Tamil Nadu who followed their almanac did not venture into the sea on the day of tsunami. I'm saying this with personal experience. I'm from Nagapattinam, which is my native town. The wild aggression of the sea was predicted with precision of date and time. Celebrating of Shankaranti, that is Pongal of Tamil Nadu, is observed even by tribals of North India based on astronomical factors. Bharatiya culture knew to calculate space and time and maintain calendars based on astronomical factors. It is through these sources that we understand that Sri Rama and Sri Krishna were historic personalities, and our itihasas and Puranas are not, quote, badly made legends worthy of no credence, unquote, as deemed by the Westerners. In fact, these literatures reveal history. Culture is a term which embodies manifold factors in time and space. Pujya Shri Kanchi Mahaswami traces the root of this term as kal, meaning refinement. Words like kalvi, meaning education, kalai, art, kalacharam, etc. Kalacharam is actually following inherited norms according to Tamil language. Even in English, kal seems to link words like college, colloquium, etc. In short, culture is a refined way of life. Performing and plastic arts are part of that aesthetics of living. Culture reflects the grade in collective refinement in thought, word, and action. It manifests itself as the civilizational progress of man. Well, progress in time is not always progress of the human being. As we experience today, machine seems to have invaded man. The days of mental sounds in arithmetic. In India, rishis taught these values, which, when observed, led to united pleasantness in society. Culture here is man's relation with parents, teachers, and surroundings taught as primary lessons. This is common revelation from both Sanskrit and Tamil traditional learning. Concepts like parents are tangible gods, teacher is equal to God, positive and negative factors are not one's own making, the results of one's own actions, that is the law of karma. The idea of law of Janma, that is rebirth, helped in developing detachment and equanimity. Protocols paved the way for creating responsible citizens. These are all reflected in the literature that formed the primary lesson before the advent of Macaulay's education policy. In Bharat, education and culture was intertwined, and the Vedas have been the primary source for both knowledge and wisdom. The root Vid means knowledge, and all the 18 subjects have their links with Vedas. For example, medicine, warfare, and polity are stemming from Atharva Veda. Gandharva Veda is an Upaveda of Samaveda pertaining to music. Natya Veda, which is also called Natya Shastra, comes under Gandharva Veda. The term Shastra implies science, and hence Natya Shastra is the text relating to the science of the art of drama. The same work is referred to as Natya Veda since it promotes wisdom, which is Shastra had been the common text for theatre art throughout the Indian subcontinent and many parts of Asia. It seems to have sailed across the Indian Ocean along with Ramayana several centuries ago. Adherents and contemporary traditions there. In fact, the masks of Hindu Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, along with that of Bharata Muni, is worshipped in every auditorium and schools of performing arts in countries like Thailand and Cambodia. Taking inspiration from these, I designed a Bharata Muni idol for his memorial, which is placed in Bharata Ilango Foundation for Asian Culture, which is a pan-Asian research center for performing arts. This idol was copied for a replica, which is now adorning the threshold of Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts, New Delhi. What is special about Bharatiya Natya Shastra to be revered world over? I will try to justify in a capsule form. Natya Shastra was discovered in bits and pieces by foreign scholars, and a part of it was first brought out by an American Sanskrit scholar in 1865. In India, the whole text was first published from Bombay in 1894. The discovery of Abhinava Gupta's commentary from Kashmir was a milestone in the modern history of the text. The first volume of the Baroda edition came out in 1926. Abhinava Gupta of Kashmir was a contemporary of our Saint Ramanuja of South India about 1,000 years ago. I had started my research on the fourth chapter of Natya Shastra way back in 1962, relating to the 108 dance movements called Karanas, which had actually been obsolete for over 5 centuries. My dream was to bridge the gap between theory, history, and practice. With God's grace and Kanchi Mahaswami's blessing, I have turned my dream into a reality through a correlated study of the text, commentary, and the relevant sculptures and inscriptions from Tamil Nadu. Natya Shastra is the earliest extant literature on dramaturgy in the world. As in the case of several other texts, including the Vedas, the antiquity of this text had been purposely or otherwise diminished. In my humble research, I have proved that it is as old as our epic Ramayana. The work is in 36 chapters, strangely coinciding with 36 tattvas of Kashmiri Shaivism. It has been the common grammar for performing arts throughout the subcontinent, and even more. Natya is defined as a representation of all the 7 continents in the world, and more particularly meant for Jambu Dvipa. Puranic geography reveals Jambu Dvipa as the landmass of Eurasia. That indicates the civilizational unity causing common cultural foundation. With this study as background, we can recognize the awe-inspiring inclusivity that the basic text on dramaturgy offers from Bharat. The Natya Shastra offers scope for multi-dimensional research in both arts and science. I think this is what I would love IIT to take cognizance of. The chapter on design for an auditorium needs to be studied by students of architecture. 9 kinds of auditorium are given with details of dimension. The terms used for measurements are same as that used for Shilpa Shastra. This chapter is to be studied by both Shastras, which give the science of temple architecture. The consecration of place of a host of Vedic gods. One interesting feature is the description of the installation and worship of 4 main pillars representing 4 varnas. It shows how Natya is common for all varnas. We get information for the history of sociology from Natya Shastra. The astrological details with regard to the building will be of interest to the relevant scholars. The mantras given for the worship of different deities will be useful for researching from Vedic and Agamic points of view. The chapters on music throw light on the history of Indian music and also justifies my taking Natya Shastra to the period of Ramayana. Following Natya Shastra came to be referred to as Marga, that is pathway, in our cultural history. Deshi was the term given to the regional adherents. The sculptures in our temples also follow Natya Shastra for postures. The famous Ananda Tandava figure of Nataraja is the 24th Karana movement described in the Natya Shastra. 108 movements described in the 4th chapter are frozen as sculptures and are seen scattered all over India and Southeast Asia. However, all 108 are found in serial order in a few temples in Tamil Nadu. All our neo-classical forms of dance like Bharatanatyam, Kathak, Odissi, and so on are all deshis of the respective regions. A little over 1,000 years ago, when Rajaraja Chola was creating the Karana sculptures at Brihadishwara temple in Tanjavur in Tamil Nadu, simultaneously, Abhinav Gupta was writing the commentary for the text in Kashmir. If the culture of our country was not under one umbrella, how can this be explained? Bharata speaks of several groups of people from Himalayas down south and suggests specific styles in production of plays to suit their respective tastes. It must be mentioned here that there is no reference to Arya and Dravida as 2 races in this text. The 2-race theory was the creation of the Westerners to divide and rule us. Unfortunately, still you are able to see the influence of that division. Theatre art, that is Natya, is based on expression of ideas. Expression is called abhinaya, meaning drawing the idea towards the spectator. Natya Shastra is also in sutra form, that is expressed as a formula. The psychology of movements, the art of verbal expression, the indicativeness of costumes, etc., and the involvement of the mind are all elaborately analyzed. That is why it is a Shastra. Shastras are scientific texts relevant beyond time and space. Natya Shastra is the first text to analyze the process and progress of appreciation. This is called the Rasa theory, which has ruled the world of literature and arts throughout history in our country. Rasa is a concept and not a word to be translated. The enjoyment that the spectator gains is rasa, and it is of 9 types. Abhinav Gupta's commentary raises this intellectual analysis into a spiritual experience. The exposure to beauty removes the moth that hides the soul, which by nature is blissful. This Ananda Atma is experienced at least momentarily by the Rasika. Hence, rasa is only one, whether it is sorrow or anger. The sweetness of tragic tales of rasa. The horror of combats is also enjoyed as rasa. The rasika sits on the edge of the chair in anxiety and still enjoys the For the practicing dancer, it is frozen dynamics. For the sculptor and the critic, it is a beautiful piece of art. For the philosopher, it is the Nadanta Natana, eternal performance of the Lord for his Panchakriya, that is fivefold activity, namely creation, dance of the subatomic world. Fivefold activity, namely creation, dance of the subatomic world. The wonder is that this single piece of sculpture has immense information for one who desires to have. This fusion of science, technology, and metaphysics is magnificently placed in front of sun, where God particle is being searched, of sun, where God particle is being searched. This is the dichotomy in the field of research. It only proves that more interdisciplinary work is the need of the day. Only IIT Madras can foster that. Thank you so much. My best wishes to all those who are receiving their degrees today. Namaskar.
It is with immense pleasure and gratitude that I stand before you all today to express our heartfelt thanks to our much celebrated and esteemed guest of honor, Dr. Padma Subramaniam. Madam, your presence here today has truly elevated the convocation to a remarkable level. IIT Madras is deeply honored to have had the privilege of listening to your insightful words and witnessing your inspiring presence in the convocation. On this occasion, it is fitting that Madam Padma Subramaniam is present when IITM admits the first batch of students under the program FACE, Fine Arts and Culture Excellence. The 6 students to whom you will be giving the seat allotment letter will never forget this auspicious and momentous occasion in their lives. On behalf of IIT Madras, I extend our deepest appreciation and thanks to you, Madam, for being with us when we mark this cultural and important milestone and for making this event a memorable and prestigious occasion for all the graduates as well as the new entrants. Thank you.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, it is both an honor and a privilege for me to introduce a towering figure in the realm of national security and strategic affairs, Shri Ajit Doval KC, the current National Security Advisor to the Prime Minister of India. Born in Garhwal, Uttarakhand in 1945, Shri Doval's journey from Himalayan foothills to the heart of India's security establishment is one marked by extraordinary service, intellectual depth, and an unyielding commitment to the nation. He completed his early education in Delhi and Ajmer and earned a master's degree in economics from the University of Agra, graduating with a distinction, securing the first position in his class. Sri Doval joined the Indian Police Service in 1968 and soon transitioned to the Intelligence Bureau in 1972. Over the next 3 decades, he held a series of pivotal assignments both within India and abroad. He is widely recognized as an operations expert, having worked extensively in regions critical to India's security interest, including the Northeast, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, and beyond. His contributions were instrumental in ending insurgency in Mizoram and enabling political transformation in Sikkim. A defining aspect of his career was his tenure in Pakistan, where he spent over 6 years undertaking some of his most challenging assignments. He later served as a minister in the Indian High Commission in London and retired as Director of Intelligence Bureau in 2005. Sri Doval has a rare distinction of being awarded the prestigious Kirti Chakra, one of the biggest, highest peacetime gallantry award. Remarkably, he also became the youngest officer to receive the Indian Police Medal for the meritorious service in just 6 years, far ahead of the typical 17-year benchmark. He also been conferred the President Police Medal for distinguished services. Post-retirement, Sri Doval continued to shape India's security International Foundation, a New Delhi-based think tank focusing on national security and strategic affairs. Since May 30, 2014, he has served as a national security advisor to the Prime Minister of India, a role in which he has been at the forefront of several transformative national security and foreign policy initiatives. Dear all, with great pride and privilege, please join me in welcoming a statesman, a strategist, and a sentinel of national interest, Sri Ajit Doval, to the 62nd Convocation of IIT Madras. Thank you.
And performer like Dr. Padma and performer like Dr. Padma Subramaniam that we all heard, listening to a man who is only from the field of security. But nevertheless, Dr. Pawan Goenka, Chairman of the Governing Council of the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, greetings to you on the award of your Padma Award, which you richly deserve. Your contribution to the country is great. And it's also a matter of pride that you're also a former IITian. Dr. V. Kamakoti, Director of IIT, whom I hold in one of the highest esteems, and whose contribution to, not only to the institution and to the discipline of engineering and technology, but to the nation at large, has been tremendous. My association with him now for nearly a decade has been stupendous. And I'll tell you that in very, very difficult times, he had held our hand and has continued to guide and give us a lot of comfort and a lot of support. Esteemed members of the Senate, members of the staff, graduating students and their families, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I really feel honored and delighted to be here at this hallowed institution of a great reputation, which has got the first of many kinds to its credit, whose contribution, whose pioneership, whose new initiatives has been of a great value to this nation. I must say that to be here on this very solemn occasion is a matter of great privilege for me. I also take this opportunity to congratulate all the young graduates, the most fortunate ones, the one in the history of this nation, which I'll tell you why. That why you are the most fortunate generation of in last 1,000 years of India's history. And once again, I'm also grateful to the director who invited me here. Gentlemen, firstly, you should all be very proud that you belong to an institution of which tomorrow you will be the alma mater, the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, which has produced 48,000 graduates like you who have served the nation and has made a great name for themselves and for the country. What you have achieved is great. You have proven intelligence, dexterity, commitment, by which you have been able to achieve, which very few in this country aspire and are able to achieve it as a reality. You also have got a great future ahead. There's no doubt about it. The world is before you to succeed. The point is whether you will be able to intertwine your growth and progress with something beyond you. Will you be able to contribute to the society, to the country, to the civilization to which you owe a lot? When Director Kamakoti asked me to be here, obviously I was quite reluctant. I never make public appearances. As Dr. Goenka just told me, first time I'm seeing you anywhere in a public platform in last 7 years. I don't know when was it that it was the last 7 years. But firstly, my respect for Professor Kamakoti is one thing. But secondly, I had a very small message to give to you. And I thought that I will take this opportunity to convey a very small message. But before that, I will have to provide you a perspective. You belong to a country, to a civilization which has been beleaguered, bled, dishonored, this thing for 1,000 years. We have suffered a lot. Our ancestors have suffered. Our pitras, as we call them, I do not know how much of the humiliation, deprivations, hardships they have undergone to keep the civilization alive, to keep this notion of the nation alive. Nation is different from a state. India as a nation had existed for millenniums. It may be a new state. Even when we got independence in 1947, our GDP was barely $20 billion. Less than 1.9% of what it is today. We had 80% population below the poverty line. And do you know, just a few years, but 2-3 years before the independence came, we suffered a famine in Bengal. It's a pity that nobody talks about it in India today. Do you know, as per the British records, how many people died in that starvation death, due to starvation death? There were 6,060,000 people died. And there was nothing that was talked about it in the slave nation. That showed that the country's spirit had been enslaved to that extent that it became a non-event. Today, if there are 5 such deaths, the whole country will rise. The youth will, you will find governments will fall. Deaths due to starvation because you could not eat. And therefore, 1.60 lakh people died as per the records. That is the thing that we came. And as Dr. Goenka said, we will be completing 100 years of our independence 22 years from now. You will be at the prime of your careers. You will be in your mid-40s or late 40s. You would have experience. You will have the knowledge. You would also have the personal stability, financial stability, family stability, social stability by that time. And still you will have many decades to contribute and work. What will be that India like? Let us visualize. Dr. Goenka said we'll have a GDP of 32, we'll have a GDP 32 trillion as against probably 4.1 today. About 8 times of the present one. Our per capita income will be about $22,000 per head, per person, from 2,500 now. We will have working population of 1.1 billion people, highest in the world, which will be better educated, which will be highly skilled, which will be globally interconnected, and will also have the largest technical pool. In contrast, China will have a squeezed 700 million, at 23% less than what it is today. We will have the world's largest military force. At present, 1.9% of GDP of 4.1 trillion, we have got a budget of $77 billion. It's a 32 trillion economy, and even if we spend only a substantially low percentage of 1.9% of our GDP, we will have a defense budget of 700 crores. Global market, because we will have a burgeoning middle class. And as having a unique geopolitical situation, demography, soft power, international connectivity, and the civilizational strength and the spiritual strength that Dr. Padma Subramanianji just told us and enlightened us about. You will be a tremendous power. Do you think so? Well, I think so. But there is an X factor. And that X factor is going to make a difference, and I have come to tell you only about that. Whether it is in defense, whether it is in manufacturing, whether it is in our socio-economic development, whether it is in any field, there is one factor that is going to make a difference, and that is you. Both as individually and collectively. Next 22 years, what you do and what you contribute, with what mindset and with what passion you live the life, that will determine what will happen to this nation. This is technology. If we have the technology, if we can surpass the technology, if we can meet the challenge of technology, if we have the technology warriors, we will be able to achieve not this, but much beyond it. But if we fail here, you miss it for many centuries to come. In the last 1,000 years, such a time has not come, and this is the generation who has got the time, and the challenge is yours. If you master it, countries' technological needs are going to be vast in every field. Sorry, in every walk of life. We want it. But there are some critical areas. There are critical and emerging technologies that we'll have to probably look at with much greater, where we'll have to get much greater focus. It is important because our needs are multiple and diverse. But every nation has got some core needs. And first need is its survival. You can have everything in the world. That will mean nothing if you don't survive. And we are in the business of saying that even if I perish, the country survives. If you become the technology warriors, you may perish, your technology must survive, the nation may survive. This, the debt that we owe to our ancestors, we are able to avenge our history. Indeed, we need an ecosystem of technology, high resources, infrastructure. But what we need most are the men like you. You must have heard many stories. There was a young scientist in Cambridge, young boy. In the Second World War, do you know who changed the history of the Second World War? You know him by the name of the man who started, father of computing. His name was Alan Turing. He found he could break the Enigma machine's code. And thereafter, all the U-boats and all the communications of the German army were intercepted, and the entire shape of the battle from 1943, from the late 42, actually just started. He died young at the age of 44. Very few of you know that he was a spy. He was an intelligence man working for the MI6. And he was inserted this task of breaking the German code. But to guide, protect, and take this country ahead. You know, something happened in 2020. It was slightly a bad experience for us. We had a certain, this thing with we had a little fight. Of course, ultimately we were able to get everything, this thing. But certain decisions were taken. And one of the decisions that was taken is we are going to completely, and 5G will not be imported from anywhere. It is necessary for our data protection. It is necessary for our communications. It was necessary for many security needs. At the same time, the country could not afford to lose the technology battle and remain behind and get decades behind. Chinese has taken over 22 years and spent about $300 billion for developing the 5G. We neither had that much of a time. I'm sorry, Chinese took about 12 years, not 22 years, 12 years. We neither had that sort of a time, nor even that sort of a money. Whom did we turn to? And that is why I said I owe a lot to Professor Kamakoti. We came and we talked with him. We wanted trusted sources. We wanted the system along with the private sector to work out. And within about 2.5 years, India was totally indigenous. And today's 5G, there's nothing foreign in that. And we owe it to your IIT. We owe it to our private sector. We owe it to others. All contributed a lot. Today, it ensures Professor Kamakoti has put a system in place that even a screw that comes that deals with anything which has got or which leads to the nation's security protection of the data protection or the anything that is, it comes from a trusted source. It's either made in India or it is something which is made up by somebody who is very close to India. It comes from a trusted source. That concept was this thing when he said, how do we make our system totally insulated from any enemy influence and others? And we said that we will work for that. It looks small, but it is big. It is something that you have done a lot for doing that. Now, I was talking about that what could be the systems that would be important for us, which will be the game changers. You all know it, but I would like to emphasize it. Artificial intelligence is one of the great game changers. It took roughly 4.5 million years for a man to discover, invent fire, which was one transformative technology. Fire changed the whole concept of the world, the way the man lived. Another 2 lakh years, this thing, the wheel. And then many such things came, which we call as this thing, which take a shorter time, and others, your steam engine, printing press, computers, and others. The rate at which it was changing, the world was changing. Artificial intelligence is going to change the world every year at that rate. It will become unrecognizable from everything that we do today. Is probably changed, and its applications will be diverse. It's not only required for your research and development, for machine learning, for large language models, for defense, robotics, medical, finance, anywhere. If India is able to lead and develop, make it a focus point, that this is one area that we have to develop. Another is about quantum, the quantum computing and its all applications. Utilizing the principles of superpositioning and entanglement, it can make tremendous difference in what we can achieve. It is going to make the classical computing much less relevant. Just think of the photons and others that we're talking about. Actually, the theory of particles are going to undergo a whole change. The way that from distances and others probably will make this thing, the conventional thinking of our this thing, that how particles will behave and this thing probably will be much more unpredictable. So in the computer discoveries, probably you will find that this whole new world opens. Semiconductors. Now that is the building blocks of the modern technologies. Our chips, various types of the things that probably the chips are going to be a great thing. And then the space sciences, and I must compliment here Dr. Goenka, who has contributed tremendously in last 3 years in the new whole district that's opened up for the space sector for the private sector, and we are doing very well in that. Whether it's in communications, it's in navigation, it's in satellite surveillance, geological mapping, rare earths, and advanced materials, energy, etc. of this thing. Now, the link of the technology and warfare has been always very, very important. The caveman from his stove, from a sling with a stone, to the today's contactless warfare and the unmanned systems has been a long journey. Do you know one of the biggest empires which ruled for 2,500 years? One of the most important reasons why it was defeated and was finished by the northeastern tribals of Europe, the Germanians, and later the Byzantines by the Turks. because the Romans were good horse riders, but never used stirrups. Now, stirrups are the iron, this thing on which you stand. Whereas from the Genghis Khan time, from the Mongolian, this thing, these tribals had known that on their horses and their ponies, they could stand in the stirrups. So you can play with the sword. Standing there, you can throw a spear with that. Whereas on the horse, where you are sitting on a blanket on top of it, you can only tumble down. If anybody would. Roman Empire got finished. It's a technology. Mughals brought here the Hemu's army and others, which was much more powerful than of the Babur and others. It was the bazookas, the gunpowder. The Mughals brought the gunpowder. And the Indian elephants started reversing their direction and stepping over their own troops. It is the technology. We have to develop our indigenous technology. Mention was made here of Sindoor. We are really proud of it, not for necessarily what people perceive, that how much of an indigenous content was there. We are proud of it, that some of the best systems that worked, whether it was our BrahMos systems, whether it was our integrated air control and command systems, whether it was our radars, whether it was the whole this of it that was being done at the battlefield surveillance about the position of theirs. We decided to have 9 terrorist targets in the crisscross of Pakistan. It was not only the border area, something, which we thought were there this way. We missed none. We hit nowhere else except that. And it is also not that was a very, it was precise to the point where we knew who is where. Entire operation was started at 5 minutes past 1 and was over at 28 minutes past 1. 23 minutes. Thereafter, a lot of things are said that this thing, foreign press and all these things, they said Pakistan did that and this. You tell me one photograph, one imagery. In, these days, these imageries are from the satellites all over the world. They are this thing, which shows any Indian damage being done, even a glass pane having been torn. Forces will be knowing what's happening in this thing, but I am just telling, they brought out photographs, they wrote this thing, the New York Times put it this thing, put out very this thing. Only imagery, they said 13 air bases of now and now, before 10th May and after 10th May. Whether it was in Sargoda or it was in Rahim Yar Khan or it was in Chaklala or it was in Rawalpindi, air bases, including the Bellary, where they have got the AVAX, the avoiding these control systems. Now, I want to send to you, you must meet him. I said, okay, send him sometime. Send him sometime. So he came, he told me. That's it. I said, how do you know General McMaster? He said, I provide some services to the American Defense Forces. I said, what's your background? And then he told me something about his decision. when I learned that he was the person who was the founder and CEO of Rhombus. He was providing on the basis, he started it, on the basis of the open information about the position of the satellites and what they were taking the imageries and some of these things, the entire forecasting model for next 24 hours for Pakistan, for American Army. Then the American Army started supplementing it with their own data. And he became extremely this thing. And this Rhombus Corporation became one of the very, very powerful organizations with very high technology, using AI, using particle these things, and multiple of other technologies and others. Then I asked him, I said, okay, that's very good. I'm impressed with what you said. We checked it up with these things also. We found tremendous distribution. His predictions are 70% right about anything relating to defense and military activities taking place anywhere in the world. He said, sir, I've come to you, I carry a sense of guilt. I said, why? He said, you've done so well in life. He said, sir, I've done so much for the Americans, this thing. I'm an IITian, but I could not do anything for my country. I want to do something for my country. But I said, we have got problems. You have taken American citizenship. And therefore, we can't integrate you with the system. He said, don't bother. You don't give any data. I will work on the basis of the open data. And I will teach your people how to manage it. After I go, you integrate the data with your own people to find out this thing. We have started working with him. And he said, I don't want to do it for money. It's not for money. This is the spirit that I want each one of you to go. Will you have that passion for your nation? Think that you realize it is too late, or you realize in 2025 that you have to take the country in 2047 where its destiny is, where it is destined to. Make it a proud country in major military terms and economic terms, in science and technology, and everything and every area of the human activity. If you can manage your time, you can manage your energy, and you can manage your mind and spirit, you can achieve it. And you are not the first. Many more have done it, but only today you have got the opportunity. I did not have the opportunity. I was not an IT. Actually, when I just think the IITs were just started coming up. There was hardly this thing. We also did not have that much, and the country did not have that much of money. Today, the country has money to invest in science and technology. Next year, it will be probably another 1 trillion added to our country's growth. Probably we are going to become more this thing. Very few institutions today will say that they have got dearth of resources. Ecosystems is being built up. Infrastructure is being built up. Testing equipment and others will be available. If not, we will do it. Your alumni are a great asset. All over the world they are there, and they have been contributing a lot. I must say that, well, their contribution has been fantastic. But will you be looking at it only as an opportunity? You will make the life comfortable for you. You will be able to go for more of holiday. Climatic concerns, this country, and thereafter. You can call that life successful. I will tell you one small incident before I conclude. During Second World War, in the concentration camps, there were many Jews who were kept there. One of them was a psychiatrist, and very well from Austria, whom Hitler had this thing and others. When he started looking and then he was shifted, he started feeling the people coming to concentration camps, many of them were perishing, some in 3 months, some in 5 months, some 6 months. But this man, since he was this thing and there are certain things against him, he was kept for a very long time, almost the whole duration of the war, about 4.5 years, about 4 years. And was shifted from one concentration camp to another concentration camp of the Jews and others. He found hundreds of Jews, rather thousands of Jews dying. But even strangely, some survive. And he started taking notes. He said he writes, he wrote a book after coming out. There is an old lady of 74, 75. She said, I don't know when the war will be over, but I have to go back home. He said, why? They said, they brought me and my son daughter-in-law. But my granddaughter, about 4 years is left behind. I have to go back to get her. And groom her, train her, whatever is that, bring her up and all these things. I feel very restless. I want the war to be over. She survived. Then, few years after the war, he met this old woman on the street with a teenager girl. He said, how are you? He said, fine. He said, this is my granddaughter. She found this old lady was now healthier, looking better than others. So he wrote a book, which became one of the bestsellers. And also in psychology, it's one of the game-changing contribution. His name was Viktor Frankl. He said, the name of his book was, well, I think it was, whose life has a meaning, only they survive. You are useless when your life loses its meaning. You may be a billionaire or you may be a pauper, it doesn't matter. As long as there is a meaning, you will survive. You live to achieve something. If you have got nothing to achieve, if you have got nothing to, you can't play this thing after the match is over. If there's no goal post, where is this thing of my skills? You give me a goal post. Even out of death, I will come out. Your willpower, your spiritual power takes you out. This institution gives you the meaning. Your energy gives you the meaning. Your circumstances of this thing give you a meaning. This nation gives you. This thing. If you dedicate yourself for next 20, this is the meaning of my life. I am over 80. I have lived my life. But I know this country has got a very great future. But there is a factor, and that is you. Do your best and give your best. I wish you my best wishes.
Thank you, Sri Doval, for that most immersive and inspiring speech. I think you need to change and make more public appearances because you'll inspire so many people to think differently. Today, I'm sure that many of the young people sitting here have redefined what they will call success. Not to make billions, not to become citizen of some other country, but to become the X factor in Viksit Bharat of 2047. I'm sure have closed your eyes for a few minutes what India will look like in 2047, the picture that Ajit Doval has painted today for you. You will play a big role. Technology will play a big role because, as you said, that the most proud thing for us in Operation Sindoor was that we used so much indigenous technology to get the results that we got. And that's where IITs come in the picture. That's where IIT students come in the picture. That's why IIT alumni come in the picture. Thank you, Mr. Doval, for giving us that inspiring thought process for the next 22 years. Some of us may not be there at that time, but I'm sure India will be a country that the whole world will look to. Now we proceed further in our convocation ceremony. Does it please the members of the Senate to approve the award of the degrees and diplomas of the Institute to the candidates who have become eligible to receive them at this convocation? Director Professor Kamakoti, please award the degrees and diplomas of the Institute to all the eligible candidates.
Madam Registrar, please propose the number of candidates who have become eligible for the award of the various degrees, diplomas of the Institute at this convocation.
Sir, I propose that 3,227 candidates be awarded the degrees, diplomas of the Institute at this convocation. I also propose that 2,419 candidates be awarded the degrees and diploma in person in the departmental degree distribution program in absentia.
By the authority vested in me as the chairperson of the Senate, distributed to the graduates in the degree distributed functions by respective heads of the departments later today. Mr. Dean Academic Courses, please read out the names of prize winners present at this august assembly. May I request the Honorable Chief Guest to present the prizes to the prize winners. I request the Honorable Guest of Honor and the chairperson to join.
Vanakkam. Here are the prize winners for the graduating class of 2025. President of India Prize for the highest CGPA amongst BTech and dual degree programs, and the Bharat Ratna M. Vishveshwaraya Memorial Prize for the highest CGPA in BTech. Both of these prizes go to Anirudh B.S. Institute Merit Prize for the student with the highest CGPA in dual degree, BTech and MTech program goes to Anish Anand Pofale. Governor's Prize for the student with the best overall performance in curricular and co-curricular activities of the dual degree program, Rajagopal Subramaniam C. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Aerospace Engineering. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Applied Mechanics and Biomedical Engineering. We have joint winners, Anu V.S. Nath. And Samana P. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Civil Engineering, Sahil Vani. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Chemical Engineering, Baliwada Kusum Kumar. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Kirti K. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Chemistry, Sachin Prabha P. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Electrical Engineering, Nagesha C. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Mathematics, Rabita V. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Smriti Parimita. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Metallurgical and Materials Engineering, Swati Suman. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Management Studies, Apurva Goel. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Ocean Engineering, Yedula Hemant Kumar. Professor A.L. Lashkar Prize. Professor A.L. Lashkar Prize for the scholar with the best PhD thesis in physics, Hari K. Thank you, sirs and madam. We are also giving the following prizes in absentia. Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma Prize to Abhinav V. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Biotechnology to Lavanya. Best PhD thesis in the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences to Sanchar Sarkar. And Professor A.L. Lashkar Prize also being shared by Madhura Ghosh Dastidar. I now request the Honorable Guest of Honor, Dr. Padma Subramaniam Ji, to present the seat allotment letter to the students admitted to the BTech program of IIT Madras through the Fine Arts and Culture Excellence FACE admission program. I call on stage Putturi Ratnakar, who is a Carnatic vocal musician and a Maitreya Divyan Parekh, who plays the tabla. Nandan Kanashyam, who is a painter. Sarvajit Murali, who is a Carnatic classical violinist. Thank you, sirs and madam. We will now listen to the acceptance speeches of the award winners and one from a special mention PhD graduate.
Good morning to everyone present here, the chief guest, guest of honor, the chairman, board of governors, the director, members of the Senate, faculty members, proud parents, and my fellow graduating class of 2025. I am deeply honored to have received the President of India Prize and the Bharat Ratna M. Vishweshwaraya Memorial Prize. These awards are a reflection of the invaluable support and guidance I have received throughout my journey at IIT Madras. IIT Madras has been monumental in providing me with the opportunity and the platform and the environment for me to grow both professionally and personally by doing whatever I love. To begin with, I would like to thank my family members for their constant encouragement and love throughout my academic journey. The learning atmosphere here at IIT Madras is truly exceptional. I am sincerely thankful to the professors who have shaped my understanding through their coursework here. I am extremely grateful to Professor Anjan Chakravarti, Avishek Chatterjee, and Professor David Koil Pillai for mentoring me and guiding me throughout my research endeavors here. I am also thankful to my team at IITM SAT for helping me grow in a collaborative atmosphere. My journey remains incomplete if I don't thank my peer group, specifically my wingmates, Godavari 301 to 310 and 364, for their companionship, which has made my journey both joyful and memorable. In conclusion, I would like to finally congratulate all my fellow graduates and their families on this momentous occasion and wish them success for their professional careers. Have a great day. Thank you.
I am deeply honored to receive the Institute Merit Prize for securing the highest CGPA across all dual degree programs. It was a wonderful surprise for me when Dean Academic Courses, Professor Pratap, personally called to congratulate me for this a few days ago. However, this would not have been possible without the constant support of my friends, professors, and family. When I first joined IIT Madras, I had never thought that one day I would be standing here accepting this prize. The first 3 semesters of my college life were completely online, and I remember being very shy, interacting with very few of my batchmates. But when I came to campus, things changed quickly. To all my friends from my hostels, right from Jamuna to Kaveri to Alaknanda, the table tennis team, and my CFTC lab mates, they have truly made this journey at IIT Madras memorable. I would also like to express my gratitude to all my professors for their amazing courses and guidance that have inspired me to pursue a PhD after completing my dual degree. I would especially like to thank my dual degree project advisor, Professor Vagesh, for his valuable guidance and support throughout my final year. I am also thankful to IIT Madras for the academic excellence prizes that I received over the last 3 institute days, and these have motivated me to strive for academic excellence. Last but not the least, I would like to thank my parents and my sister for their unconditional love and support throughout the time I was away from my home. A special thanks to my grandparents who have flown all the way from Australia just to attend my convocation. Finally, I would like to congratulate all my fellow graduates, and I wish everyone all the very best as we step into the next chapter of our lives. Thank you.
This speech is a call to inaction, where I shall take a couple of minutes to reflect on my journey so far and thank those who have made it memorable. First people to thank, without a doubt, are my parents and my sister Roshni, who have been a pillar for support throughout my life. They have always been there for me and are my biggest cheerleaders, and I could not thank them enough for it and for the great food that has sustained me. Similarly, I would like to thank my grandparents. From playing cricket with them to getting an award at this stage, I'm sure it's a dream come true for them. I think some of the best memories one makes is with their wing, and my wing is no exception. Special shout out to Aditya, Anvit, Harinder, Keshav, Nikhil, Prahalad, and Sanjeev, with whom I share core memories. From late night rants to mid intern rants, from career advice to certain bicycle related events. Thank you for always being there. Let's not forget, manifesting is real. Clubs are a second home for everybody in Insti, and for me, it is the Quiz Club and the Oratory Club. Quiz Club holds a special place in my heart, and winning Nihil twice is something that I shall cherish forever. But the Gaj Gang holds a special place in my heart, especially my co-course, Parth, Anvit, and Prahalad, and the first cohort, Nidan, Nitish, Naufal, Meg, Prajwal. Thank you for being a place of sanity within the club. Let's keep the true Barth Scholarship and the Meg Griffin Ideathon rolling for years to come. Secondly, Oratory Club. I've seen this club grow from its nascent stages to its present form, but my cohort, Joel, Samyukta, Sanjeev, and Srilakshmi hold a close place in our hearts. I shall always remember our 2 a.m. Google Meets, to our insane runs at Nalsar, CUPD, and Inter-IIT, to our insanely fun sessions at local Chennai Fest. I shall treasure each one of them. Thank you for showing me that sometimes Icarus can fly. Quick shout out to my hostel, Narmada. Though I ran for the position of Technical Affairs Secretary, my biggest contribution shall be in bringing Litsock home for 2 times in a row. Narmada, Narmada, Vijay Sarvada. I'd like to thank my guide, Dr. Karthik Raman, from the YRF project to my dual degree thesis. He has always been a mentor, a guide. Thank you so much, sir, for that. I'd also like to thank Dr. Lakshman Krishnamurthy at Yale for giving a third year from India the opportunity to conduct path-breaking research. I'd be remiss if I do not thank the institute for where I am today. On my orientation day, we were told IITM is a land of opportunities. It's up to you to grab them. I'd like to thank my directors, Dr. Bhaskar Ramamurthy and Dr. Kamakoti, for creating an environment where one can pursue excellence in whatever they want. I would also like to thank my departments, Biotechnology and DSAI, for ensuring that whether I needed guidance or resources, I always got them. Last but not least, I would like to thank God for always being there with me. They say no man is an island, and I sure would not be where I am today without the support of everybody I mentioned and did not mention today. Thank you so much for all your contributions that allowed me to receive the Governor's Prize for the year 2025. I am extremely honored by this award, and I shall cherish this for the rest of my life. Thank you to the Institute once again.
Like speech activation software that really make the playing field even, because I represent a segment of society that is largely invisible. 1 out of 4 people have some form of disability, but we are never seen. Only 6% of girls with disability even get to go to school. So I beg that there should be some more concerted efforts being taken so that our basic right to our education can be met, and more people like me can come through these doors, and this broken barrier can remain broken forever. I was a state level cricketer and swimmer, and when I completed high school, I was at the top 2 percentile of the entire US population. But then I chose to come back to India. Then an accident left me paralyzed below the neck because of a spinal cord injury. I was shocked and broken, but I kept fighting. I was denied admission into college, and I didn't know what to do, but I kept fighting. And when I came to know that people like me were being forced to commit suicide by their own families, I started Soul Free. Soul Free is a public charitable trust that has been running for more than a decade now to improve the quality of life of persons facing a lifetime of paralysis after spinal cord injury. Soul Free is supporting more than 3,000 families today, and we have established India's first integrated spinal rehabilitation center at Tiruvannamalai. The Soul Free Inspire Center is transforming the lives of millions and ensuring that they are able to lead lives that are self-reliant from a physiological, psychological, and socio-economic perspective. If I can transform 3,000 lives, each of you can do so much more. I request you all to stay in India and fight and work to ensure that India becomes prosperous, inclusive, and accessible to all. I would like to thank my guide, Dr. Hemachandran Khara, and my co-guide, Dr. Sujata Srinivasan, who have stood by me despite very challenging times. But most of all, I wish to give my deepest gratitude, pranam, and salutations to my mother, without whom I will not be alive today. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Graduates of the year, I charge you that in thought, word, and deed, you will ever maintain the purity, dignity, and integrity of your profession.
We, the graduates of the Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, hereby pledge that we shall, in thought, word, and deed, ever endeavor to be scrupulously honest in the discharge of our duties, that in all circumstances we shall uphold the dignity and integrity of our profession and the honor of our institute and the nation, and that we shall devote all our energies to promote the unity and secular ideal of our country and utilize our knowledge in the service of our nation and society. Sahana vavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvi navaditamastu, ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
On behalf of all those assembled here, I request the director to give a memento to the chief guest and the guest of honor.
I declare the convocation closed.
I now request everyone to please rise up for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे